the policy. So you have to allow
Yes, got it.
to record it.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so it's running, it's ready. We are here. Okay, so let me start to do the introduction. I'm Piotr Błaszczak. I'm a freediver instructor here at Deepspot, and I'm instructor since the beginning of Deepspot. Actually, it's the place where I did my instructor course, and I started my adventure with teaching freediving. And I'm a freediver for around 3 years right now. And actually, it's like deep pools are very special for me because it was 3 years ago when I went to Y40 in Italy, when I did something like try freediving here at Deepspot. And on the first session, I got to 15 meters. I sat on the edge of the tube and I fell in love. Like it hooked me so deeply. So immediately after the trip, I found out NITAS and went for the professional course, and that's how it started. And it definitely changed my life, and that's why it motivates me to pass this experience to others. So that's why I'm doing the YouTube, that's why I'm doing the videos, and I'm really like to share my experience because I hope somebody else can benefit from my my discovery in the freediving. So thank you all for joining. And today we have Frederico Mana, who's gonna be here at Deepspot in the beginning of next year, 2022. And he's gonna do for us the workshop about equalization, which is essential in freediving, essential in a deep diving. And for me, it's something like this pool, like in Poland, we have like big names, right? Like most of the world records, at some point we have like Polish names, but the community itself, it's not really big, right? But since we have a Deepspot, this thing is changing, and it's changing for good. And I believe like pools like this are a very good way to start freediving, because not everybody can go to open water directly and have like confidence to learn all those skills at open waters. But at Deepspot, you have like laboratory perfect condition to work it. So when you go to outside to open waters, you have you're much more stronger to do the diving. So right now we have instructor trainers at Deepspot. Nitas and Emilia just did the course, so we gonna produce more instructors. So the community will grow even more in Poland. And me and like at Deepspot, we have lots of new people who have like huge potential. And that's why we need training for us, instructor, and training for them to learn quicker, learn faster, and learn more efficient. And that's why, Federico, you are here. Okay, so I'm really stoked about this. I just returned from Greece when I did like 81-meter free immersion deep dive, and it was like for me huge breakthrough, because I didn't train a lot on the open water. Like I started work at Deepspot last year, and after working here for a little bit of the more than half year, I went to 𝐻 Lake for the Polish depth championships, and I did there 68 meters. So it was like 20 more meters like added to my personal best in open water just by training here at Deepspot. So that was huge. I got urged for more. That's why 2 months later, I went to Greece and I did 80 meters. And only outside trainings were competition, and I was solely training here at Deepspot. So I think it's huge potential for learning, for growing the community, and give people the tools to do the good dives on the open water. So I'm really stoked about this, what we're gonna learn. We have a little talk with Frederico, and he told me a little bit what he's gonna teach here, and I'm really amazed how much knowledge and good, like many years of experience in one course, in one person who can give you this like injection. So, okay, I think we can start. So Federico, the stage is yours.
I'm ready, and welcome everybody to this evening. We are going to talk a little bit about equalization. I would thanks first of all Deepspot, Piotr and Emilia for asking me to do this webinar tonight, to help all of you, all your community, to understand a little bit much better what we are going to do at the end of January in 2022 during the workshop that I'm going to do in your wonderful pool. I think that the two pools that are Deepspot and Y40 completely change the idea and the order to train freediver. I start to freedive in 1998 and I became an instructor in 2002. So, and I decided to do this. I'm an Italian freediver. I started as instructor, but then in 2002, after becoming instructor, I really fall completely in love with freediving, and I decided that the freediving, the freedive world should be my lifestyle. I was a basketball player, but after some injuries, I had to stop. I went to the university. I was an optometrist. I was working in the hospital with the surgery for myopia, but when I was 26, I really fall in love with the freediving, and I decided to change completely my life. And I went to live in Egypt, where I decided to spend all my time in teaching freediving and trying to compete also. That's why in 2007 I started to compete, and I did 4 years competition with 8 national records, and I've been the first Italian that reached the 100 meters in constant weight, and it was the 2009, and this record had been unbeaten for 4 years. And I was really, really proud about this record, simply because it was in this era, in this moment of the freediving, there were only 10 athletes that were in the world that were around 100 meters. When I started freediving, I was not at all a talent. I was a very bad freediver with very big trouble with equalization, and every time I was asking to my instructor some advice, some tip to understand what should I do with equalization, I were lost, because the answer of my instructor were just relax yourself, keep straight your head, and become water. And I was hating the sentence become water, because they were teaching me the philosophy of freediving, but they were not teaching me the technique of freediving. That's why I decided to put all my energy in trying to understand how the equalization were really working. So in between 2004 2006, I spent a lot of time at first in the water, trying to understand what I was doing with equalization, struggling to understand the mistakes, to understand what I was doing with the glottis, with the tongue, and trying to study a little bit about the anatomy and the physiology about freediving, because there were not material about the equalization. Okay, finally I found a method that I started to use on myself, and between 2006 and 2009 I cancelled completely all my trouble in the equalization, and I also become hands-free equalizer. So I understood how to become hands-free. So I found my rule to improve my equalization, but I was not sure that this method was good also for other freedivers. So what I did, I took 10 friends of mine that were freediver, and I started to apply, to use my method on all of them. And as soon 8 of them remove all the trouble with equalization, I wrote my first book on equalization techniques in 2010. In 2013, I wrote my second book on equalization, on the modern protocol using AutoVent, but the book was not enough because it was not so easy. The translation it was not easy to find editors in France, in England, in America to publish the books. So that's why in 2015 I create a team that today we call a share equalization team, and we invest a lot of energy in creating material, about 2 years, and a lot of money in learning how to use an online platform just to teach equalization. And this place name is Share Equalization. If you want to find something on the web, you will find or on my website Moving Limits or on the Share Equalization website. In this moment, we are able to teach equalization all over the world, and we teach equalization in 2 different ways. With the dry training and with the workshop that are 2 days workshop, 3 days workshop, or 5 days, 1 week workshop. In Deepspot, we are going to run together a 2 days workshop. So this is just the introduction about about my history and the reason about the equalization. I didn't choose the equalization because one day I wake up and I said, okay, from tomorrow I started to teach equalization, but simply because it was a need. I was a very bad freediver. I was not able to equalize. I had several injuries to my middle ear, so I had to find a way to remove all those problems. Finally, in 2015 and also now in Poland, we have the perfect place to train. Before the 2015, before that deep pool were existing, the only way to train in deep diving, it was during the summer. And the normal recreational freediver were used to freedive between 10 and 30 days per year. So there is no sport where you can improve in training 10 times or 30 times per year. Those pools allowed everyone to train all the year long. And then there are several things that are extremely important in those kind of pool. First of all, the conditions are repeatable, because when you go to the sea, sometimes is wavy, sometimes is windy, is raining. You cannot dive because it's not possible to do it. In those pools, you can do it, and you can do without wetsuit. This is a perfect way to train, because without wetsuit, you can increase a lot your awareness. You do not have a hood, you do not have neoprene on your body, and it's much easier to feel and to recognize exactly what you are doing. The deep pools like Deepspot or Y40 change also completely the idea of depth. I remember before 2015, all the dives deeper than 30 meters were considered already deep dives. Which is the reason? Simply because all the students that were going to the sea or to the lake or to the career to free dive, if the visibility were good, after 2025 there was no way to see where the body were going. Okay, so all the dives after deeper than 30 meters were unknown dives.
Chcesz ze mną iść na basen?
We were
To
not.
musisz się przygotować, ok? To zaraz wychodzimy.
Sorry.
Okay?
I just have to remove audio for everyone because otherwise it's noisy. Okay, do you hear me? Yes. All the dives deeper than 30 meters were dives in an unknown place, because the freediver were disappearing in the blue, in the green, or in the black, in case we were diving in a lake. Okay. By deep spot places, like a place like Deepspot, everyone can see all the other freedivers dive deep. And when you see all the other ones doing something in easy way, it happens something special here in your mind. It becomes possible in your thought. And as soon something become possible here inside, it become possible to repeat it, to do it better, and improve it. So I think that pools like Deepspot and Y40 completely changed the era about freediving. We were in the middle age of freediving. Now we are in a new era of freediving. But let's start to talk about equalization. So I'm really happy to see that there are more than 25 participants. So welcome to everybody. Maybe somebody just connect now. But we are just starting to talk about equalization. And before to start to argue about equalization, we have some polls to do with you, because we would, every time I work with groups, I'm really interested in knowing who is on the other side of the screen. So I would invite you to answer to some question that we will manage directly by Zoom. And let's start with the first question. I would just know your freediving level. I would just know if you are a freediving instructor or if you are just if you are a normal freediver. Maybe okay, already 17 of you answer. Oh, we have 3 instructors, 17, 18. Okay, we have some instructor, but mainly we have normal freediver. 22 of you answer. 2 are missing, 3 are missing. No, somebody does not know how to answer by the phone, but is not a problem. Okay, let's see the result. Okay, we can see that the 86% of you are normal freediver and the 15% of you are instructor. So we can compare in this 1 hour and a half that's left to talk about equalization, which is we can compare our knowledge about equalization. So let's do the second poll. Ok, condividi i risultati. Sorry, it's the other one that I have to. Okay, the second thing that I would know is which is your equalization technique. Just to ask you to give a name to the equalization technique that you use. 16 of you already answer. Somebody don't know. 22 on 24. Very nice. So you answer. Thanks a lot. And let's see the result. According to your answer, we have the 10% of Valsalva techniques. We have the 65% of Frenzel technique, and we have the 22% of hands-free equalizer. Just one of you does not know. So about this, let's see. As you can see, we can find naturally 3 different techniques of equalization. As you read in the poll, I call this technique Instinctive Equalization Technique. Why I call Instinctive Equalization? Simply because the technique we use simply because, unfortunately, the technique we use to equalize is not, we use it instinctively, is not something that we learn, but is something that Mother Nature gave us. To be Frenzel or Valsalva or hands-free is exactly like to be right-handed, left-handed, or ambidexter. We do not choose to be right-handed or left-handed or ambidexter. So in the human nature, we can find a functional variability between persons, okay? So what's happened is that we have a distribution. The normality is the human nature about the laterality, is that the highest part of people are right-handed. Then we have someone that is left-handed, and finally only a small amount are ambidexter. In the equalization, we have the same distribution. You saw that you answer in a specific way, and we find exactly the distribution that we have. Just sorry, it's under a call. In the equalization, we can find different kind of equalization: instinctive Frenzel, instinctive Valsalva, and instinctive hands-free. What's the normality is to be Frenzel. Then there is a poor amount of Valsalva, and in the last 10 years, no, maybe not 10 years, but in the last 5 years, the number of freedivers that are also hands-free is increasing. What's a voluntary and instinctive equalization is? Voluntary mean that to equalize we need to do voluntary action. For example, to pinch the nose for Frenzel. In the instinctive, as I told you, means that there is not exactly some way to. Nobody teaches us how to equalize when we are a beginner as freediver. We just use the technique. I remember when I started to freedive, my instructor just told me, pinch your nose and push. Okay, this was the highest knowledge about equalization, and I was doing some kind of Frenzel. So the equalization is something like running. Okay, nobody teaches us how to run. Okay, because when we were young, we were laying on the floor. Then one day we stand up and we started to walk a little bit, and then we started to run. If I ask all of you if you are able to run, probably you will answer yes. Okay, if you have to run to catch the bus because you are late, or to catch the taxi, or to catch the train, you can do 50 meters or 100 meters run without any big problem. But if tomorrow we need to run a marathon, probably the 10% of you is able to run a marathon tomorrow. Why? Simply because we do not have the technique, we do not have the muscle train to run properly, we do not have training, we didn't train for running. So to run does not mean to be able to run properly a long distance. In the same way, to equalize does not mean to know how to equalize. Okay, we could say that the first 35, 40 meters are the 50 meters or the 100 meters running to catch the train. Almost everybody can do it, if only in case if you are Frenzel. Because if you are Valsalva, the big problem for Valsalva that they are not able to dive head first. If you are Valsalva and you want to dive head first, you must learn Frenzel. And you have to learn how to do it properly. Okay, so if you are Frenzel, we could say that the first 30 meters, 40 meters are the 100 meters to run to catch the train. If you want to go deeper, you have to train your technique. You must learn the technique and to become aware about how you should equalize. Okay. So every one of us have some kind of limits. Let's see where, with another pool, where you can find your own equalization limits. Let's see. Wow, everybody super skilled free diver. Nice. There is a good, okay. Wow. Everyone very good freediver in Poland. You are all really deep. Look at the result. We have one of you that told us that have trouble before 10 meters. The 68% have trouble between 10 and 40 meters, 27% deeper than 40 meters. If you check these numbers, are absolutely in line with the equalization technique we saw in the previous poll. Okay, in the previous poll there were two Valsalva. Okay, and the 65% of you were Frenzel. Here we find that the instinctive Frenzel, where the limits is between 10 and 40 meters, we have the 68%. Okay, some one of you, 6 of you, are already skilled free divers. So that means that you probably already started to use evolved technique. So let's see how we can consider the equalization limits. I will share again my screen with all of you. Okay. We can divide the depth in 3 different areas. Okay, a green area that is the comfort zone. It's the area where you feel that the equalization is extremely easy. What's happened is that the freediver usually is completely unaware about what they do in the green area. Why? simply because it's simple. So if it's simple, I don't care about the problem. I start to try to understand what to do when I move into the yellow area, the critic area, the area where I start to feel the mask that is squeezed. I start to do some cow noises. I feel effort with abdominal muscle. I feel strange contraction. I feel pain on the rib cage. I feel the mask that suck completely on the face until the red area where if I'm not able to use evolved Frenzel equalization, I will never go there. Okay, so the green area is an area where we can use instinctive Frenzel. In the yellow area, usually we struggle with the Frenzel technique. And we will see why. We start with, it doesn't work very well. In the red area, if you want to dive there, so deeper than 40 meters, you must learn different equalization technique. So the instinctive Frenzel does not work anymore. Why? Let's see the reason. We could say that let's remove this one second. Let's say this. The equalization system work exactly like the car. The engine is the middle ear. The fuel is the air. Adrian, where did you store your fuel in your car? Or someone want to answer, where do you store your fuel in the car?
In a tank.
In a tank, perfect. Which is the freediver tank?
Your mouth.
Exactly, it's the mouth. Perfect. And when you finish the fuel in the tank, do you throw away your car or you do something different?
Well, it depends. You know, you can refill your tank when you like to do that. Yeah, for instance,
okay. When you finish the fuel in the tank, what you do?
After that, I try to squeeze my mouth just to.
No. But let's talk about the car. Let's talk about the car.
Maybe I don't get it. All right. Okay. Please continue.
We have to go to the gasoline station. Okay. And which is the freediving gasoline station?
Your lungs. Yeah.
Our lungs. Okay. So we can imagine, okay, that our highway of the equalization have a lot of gasoline station during in the comfort area, in the green area, okay? So until the volume, the lung volume is much higher than the residual volume, we do not have any trouble to shift air from lungs to the mouth, and also if we swallow in air, is not a problem to refine the air. That's why instinctive equalization is working in easy way. As soon we reach critical volume, the critical volume is when we start to be close to the residual volume. Okay, this happens when the rib cage start to reach his limits in the elasticity, because the lungs are a kind of sponge. They can change the volume a lot, but the rib cage cannot. Okay, at a specific moment, it becomes harder to bring air. This is the place where we have critical area, where we are still able to shift air from lungs to the mouth, but if we do some mistake, it costs a lot of energy. It becomes stressful, and in the yellow area is the place, if we do some mistake, we can have a long squeeze. Finally, in the red area, if we are in the lung volume is lower than the residual volume. Okay, so if we did not store some air before to cross the red border, there is no way to recharge air from lungs to the mouth. Or if we have air here in the red area and we do some mistake and we swallow in air, forget to recall any air. The risk is always to have a bad lung squeeze. So we could say that the deep free diving with common instinctive skills is almost like biking on a road where is changing the angle of the road. Okay, where is completely flat, we could say that it's easy equalization with instinctive technique. Okay, then it started when we are close to the critical volume. Okay, we are between the yellow and the orange condition, and here is not so easy to relax, but it's not so easy to equalize, and if we find a good relaxation, maybe we can still free dive. In this area, we are close to our limits. This is the moment where usually there is a moment when we start with strange noises. I'm pretty sure that one of you remember almost one dive when you start to feel the mask completely suck on your face and trying to equalize, and the middle ear does not work at all, because here we are in the critical area. In the deep, the depth is not reachable without evolved skills. Okay, now I would need someone of you to do a test about what do I mean about instinctive equalization and awareness about instinctive equalization. I need some of you with the camera that wanna do a test with me. Don't be shy. I will be nice with all of you. Is there someone that wanna try to do a test with me?
Sure.
Oh, wonderful. So, welcome. Bravo. Okay, everybody should see you. Can you remember us your name, please?
My name is Jacek.
Oh, okay. I will never.
It's Jack. It's Jack. Sorry? Or PJ. You can call me PJ.
PJ is perfect. PJ, I would ask you to do this. You pinch your nose in this way, okay, and you just equalize for 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. PJ is equalizing with a Frenzel technique, and we usually say that an empty condition about there is not so much air between the tongue and the soft palate. In the Frenzel technique, PJ, who is the responsible? Who is pushing the air into the middle ear?
Tongue.
The tongue. Perfect. Very good. The tongue is working exactly like a piston. Okay, you can try imagine to a syringe, a piston that is pushing air. The difference between an instinctive Frenzel and a good evolved Frenzel is in to be aware about the tongue movement. So if you do Frenzel, for sure you know how to use the tongue as a piston. But if I ask you to do some specific movement with the tongue, like this one. So we say that the tongue is a piston. A piston moves in a vertical way. I ask you to keep the tip of the tongue on your lower teeth and to move only the back part of the tongue. So this. PJ, would you? I lost you. Would you try just a second? I want to show you. Okay, would you do it? Open wide. You see that you do not raise the tongue. But when you do it, your tongue movement have an horizontal movement. You threw out a little bit your tongue. The tongue is not completely flat. Somebody else want to try? Much better, but you do not cover the uvula. Look, okay. This. Look. Somebody else want to try, want to show? If all of you try to do the move, Piotr, you want to try? Let's see how Piotr.
Yeah, I wish, but I think I'm gonna pin myself so I can see myself. Oh,
I already pin you. It's good. It's good. Your movement is good. Usually, what happens with the common freedivers is that if you ask, when we ask to our students to move the tongue, they usually start to do something like this. If you try to do in front of a mirror, probably you will find some movement like this. There are someone that are not able at all to move the tongue, and sometimes they move. They rise, they move all muscles, but they do not move at all the tongue. Okay, so this is the difference between doing something in instinctive way and doing something in evolved way. Okay, I want to show you another thing. Every time you equalize, okay, I want to show. Wait. This. I have to do this. Sorry. Every time you equalize, if you look at yourself in the mirror, when you equalize, you will see that the under part of the chin usually is completely flat. That means that the tongue is really high, close to the palate. Okay, when I do a normal frenzel, my under chin is swollen. That means that the tongue is not here. That means that the tongue is, if this is the soft palate, the tongue is here. Okay, so the first goal is to learn how to store air behind the tongue, because this will be extremely helpful to improve the equalization technique. Finally, I would just check how many of you are used to do this. How many are used to train equalization with the dry exercise?
Federico,
Wow.
in the meantime, can I ask you a question?
Let's finish this poll, and then we stop a second for the ones that want to do some question. Okay.
All right. Cool.
Wow. Great result. Polish freediver are very used to work with dry exercises. Very well. Proud of you. Look, the 70% of you is used to train equalization with dry exercise. Okay. Before to continue, let's see if there are any question. Please.
Yeah, I would like to ask you a question about what has been told here about tongue. Yeah, because you told us that tongue is a piston and compress the air, and that's why it is injected to middle ear. But are you sure about that? Because, you know, for instance, Adam Stern did movies and did medical examination, MRI examination.
Yes. Okay.
And he showed us that actually the larynx is a
absolutely is. We say that the tongue is we say that the tongue is, we are using the tongue as a piston. We can store also a lot of air in the larynx, okay, but is extremely hard to charge a lot of air in the larynx without dropping down the tongue.
Yeah, sure, but even during this exercise, which PJ showed us, yeah, probably everybody noticed that the main part which was moving was his larynx, yeah, up and down, right?
Yes, but
so
the larynx movement is connected to the tongue movement. So the larynx, look, I show you. Do you agree that the Adam apple is connected to the larynx?
yeah.
Okay, so I'm dropping down the larynx. Do you agree?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, look what my tongue is doing.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, larynx is connected with tongue, and when you move your larynx, your tongue moved also. But I can equalize even if my tongue is lying at the bottom of my mouth, and I feel that I don't have to use it to equalize because I can create the seal just using my cheeks, and the movement of larynx causes
yes,
that
but when you finish the cheeks, you have to start to use the tongue.
Yeah, for sure. But this is another phase, yeah.
Okay, you are talking about mouthfeel, okay? And mouthfeel, it's an evolved equalization technique. With the mouthfeel, you start to equalize. Would you please switch on the camera?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. You said a very nice thing. We can use also cheeks, but if your tongue is not low, you will never be able to use cheeks. I show you. If you
but still you can have your tongue in H position, for instance, and I think that you in this position you don't use this tongue as a piston. Yeah, I can equalize having my mouth opened and tongue in a H position. Yeah,
the H position does not exist. It's a K
the
position.
all right, H position, or it's it's named differently in different courses or by different instructors.
Yeah, but wait.
Okay,
wait.
my tongue is in the let's say on my back of my soft,
on the palate.
On the palate, yeah, let's say.
Yeah.
And I can equalize having my mouth open it and tongue is really close to the soft palate.
Yes, it's a Frenzel with a K lock.
All right, okay. And I think that only the movement of this part, yeah, larynx and close
but also
glottis,
the tongue, also the tongue move. If you open the mouth and you try to equalize in this way, you look at your tongue, is moving your tongue. Yes,
yeah, because my larynx is also moving and tongue is
yes, but the tongue and the larynx move together, Adrian.
Yeah.
There is a connection between larynx and tongue. Is not only is larynx and tongue. If we want to simplify with the students to help them to understand what to do with the larynx, we drive them in moving the tongue. Because if I have to help students to look themselves in the mirror, they will be able to understand when they move the back part of the tongue and when they move the Adam apple. They have two things that they can see, okay? And they see both of them. Finally, we can move the larynx also without moving sometimes the tongue when we move the soft palate, because the tongue and the soft palate got origin of those muscles directly on the larynx. Okay, on the larynx we have the connection of two things: soft palate and tongue. And moving both of them, we can move the Adam apple in different way. Okay? I agree with you that we can push and store air also in the larynx, but the movement of the larynx is directly connected to the tongue movement. You cannot move widely the Adam apple without moving the tongue.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so
there...
let's leave this topic and please continue, because I don't
but it's,
take your time.
No, but you didn't take, because the common mistake, Adrian, for example, with the mouthfeel, okay, is to fill cheeks and to keep tongue in the wrong position. Try to fill your cheeks and breathe by the nose. Like this.
I'm not sure if I'm able to do that.
Look, this.
Yeah, but yeah, it's hard to me to do that. To do that.
Okay, if I'm doing that, how is the glottis?
It's open. Yeah.
How is the soft palate?
Is in position. Is also probably it blocks the air in your cheeks. Yeah, and the rest is open just to.
So it's the palate that's lock the air, is not the tongue.
Yeah.
Is the tongue? Is not
okay? Because tongue is
yes. There is a connection between soft palate and tongue. Yeah. So this air is unusable if you do this mistake when you do mouthfeel. The 80% of free diver that swallow in the mouthfeel when they dive deep, they usually do this mistake because they are not aware about the tongue position, so they keep the air in front of the tongue, and as soon they move down the tongue, they open the glottis and they swallow in. This is the common mistake in using the mouthfeel. In the common mistake when the freediver swallow the mouthfeel. Any other question? No, nobody. Everybody is shy. Okay, let's continue with some slide, because we said that is not possible to reach the red area if we do not know evolved equalization technique. What equalization is? Everybody have skills about the motricity of the tongue, of the glottis, of the soft palate, and we have an instinctive motricity. What does it mean? If I blow my balloon, when I blow the balloon, for sure my soft palate is in an upper closure, because otherwise the air will go out through the nose. But usually we are not thinking, okay, I have to close to do an upper closure of the soft palate. I just do it because it's an instinctive skills. Equalization is just awareness, so to feel each structure and coordination about all those structures. We could say that The equalization is the capacity of juggle with 5 balls. Those balls are the glottis, the tongue, the soft palate, the jaw, and the cheeks. Okay? We cannot learn evolved technique directly using 5 balls, because we would never know, we would never learn. The other question was, do you train equalization skill in dry session? This is extremely important, simply because if we go directly in the water and we want to learn something new directly in the water, it's like to juggle with 5 balls, but being in balance on a ball or on a line. It's much harder, much harder. We check the improvement about some 1,000 freediver we work with, and we saw that the improvement for the ones that train only in the water have an improvement like the red line. For the ones that work in dry session with dry skills, also out of water, the beginning is almost the same, but after that the improvement is much faster. There are 2 reasons. First of all, because in dry session it's easier. Secondary, but not the least, is that you can train in dry session almost every day. And the secret in the equalization is not to train 1 hour or 2 hours, 1 per week. The secret is to train new skills very often, 3-4 times per day, but just 3-4 minutes, not more. So the idea of the workshop we are going to run at the end of January is exactly this: to mix some moment in dry session, okay, to work on dry skills, and then to understand how to work directly in the water. It could be a very good moment to learn, to try to learn evolved equalization technique. Now, if you want, we have a Q&A moment to understand if you have any doubt or any kind of questions.
Hi, I have a, sorry, so we are sitting with Piotrek in the same room.
Yes, I can hear from the microphone.
I have a question. What are your thoughts on using scuba diving for practicing freediving equalization? Because this is my story. My personal story is that I'm freediver and scuba diver, and I learned hands-free equalizing while scuba diving. Like, I had a lot of time to practice, and it led me like kind of effortlessly, naturally to hands-free equalization.
Okay. For sure, scuba diving, it gives you the 2 advantages. First of all, you have a lot of time to spend underwater because you do not have to surface. Secondary, you are head up. And head up, the equalization is much easier because the air goes naturally from the low to the surface. Okay, so when you are scuba diving, it's enough to understand how to open the eustachian tube, and the airflow will fill naturally the middle ear. As soon you turn it down, is not so easy, because for hands-free equalization, freediving head first, you need a synchronism between mask equalization and ear equalization. As soon you are not able to equalize the mask anymore, so the mask suck on your face, it's going to create a deep pressure in the rhinopharynx, and if you open the eustachian tube, this deep pressure will suck air from the middle ear, because mask and the middle ear are in parallel. They are all on the same floor, and the pressure that you have in the mask is the same pressure that you have in the middle ear if you open the eustachian tube. The limit for the scuba diving in learning equalization is that scuba diving you have the regulator in the mouth, so you cannot use a lips lock or a T lock. You can equalize only in K lock with the tongue on the palate or on the soft palate.
But would you, yeah, it works. Would you say it's a good first step? Because I have this problem that it came to me easily, and later you had Frenzel and so on. But
I think that
very easy to begin with hands-free, precisely.
Okay, I think that it's very easy if you have predisposition of eustachian tube opening. If you have to, I think that probably, do you have IQ tool?
No.
No. If you will try to use IQ tool, you probably will equalize with a pressure that will be less than 20 or 15 hectopascal when you do Frenzel, because you have probably predisposition to the eustachian tube. Something is to understand how to let the air goes into the middle ear. Something else is to learn hands-free equalization, because I know almost 7 ways to do hands-free equalization. And it's not only opening the eustachian tube like you do. Ciao Agatha, happy to see you online.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other question? In case when we were talking about
Hello, Federico. Sorry.
Ciao, Agatha.
Great to see you again.
It's a pleasure for me also. How are you doing?
Very, very good.
Well,
I will mute myself. I don't want to interrupt with your
okay,
webinar,
okay. See you next time.
Yeah.
No, about locks. Locks is not something that Freediver does not invent locks. Okay, locks come from a science. This science name is phonetics. Phonetics teach us what do we do with the lips, tongue, soft palate, and the glottis every time we do a noise. Okay, when we call, I want to show you one thing, because I didn't invent locks. Phonetics invent locks. I want to show you this. I'm going to share my screen. If you look on Google, you can look for English phonetics. And this phonetics will guide you in what locks are. Locks, we have in freediving, we use 3 different locks. That is a P lock, a T lock, or a K lock. The locks are letters that we can pronounce without any kind of air. That's mean with glottis close and soft palate close. We do not need air. That's why we have a lock. If I do a starting condition, so I close my glottis, I empty my lungs, I'm able to say this letter without any noise. The P lock, if I open the glottis and I keep the soft palate closed and I do a noise and I turn in a P lock, it become a B charge. Ba, ba, ba. If I open the soft palate, the P lock become an, where is, I lost it, an M sound. So the P lock become a B if we open. P lock is glottis close, soft palate close. B is glottis open, soft palate close. M is glottis open, soft palate open, lips close. The same thing we have for T, D, N, dental N, like neither, neither. Or a K that become G, or palatal N, like anchor, anchor. The H does not exist in phonetics in the oropharynx because the H sound come from the glottis. Okay, so this is not my opinion. It's a science called phonetics. Usually we make confusion between H lock with the palatal N, because we have 3 different N noise. Neither, dental N, anchor with the K, anchor, that the tongue close on the hard palate, or angle, N-J, ang, that is velar lock. Do you agree, Piotr? No, it was Adrian.
Adrian, I think left. Yes, the phonetics, like, it's mind-blowing for me right now because I never thought this way about what I do, because all you just said was natural for me. I just did it because I'm juggler with my tongue and everything. Like,
so the phonetic is extremely helpful. Why do we use phonetics? Because if I have to say to a student, well, you keep the tip of the tongue on the upper teeth in hermetical way. You keep the glottis open and the soft palate open, he will never be able to understand this input. If I ask him, said neither, he will move directly in this condition. So the phonetic is a driver to help students to do specific movement that we need for the equalization in the proper way.
Yeah, it's the moment when you do something unconsciously, and now you're learning to know the muscles consciously what you're using.
Exactly.
The
But
positions your parts are and all those stuff. That's
the goal in teaching in a workshop is to become able to help students to understand what they do. Okay, so you have to drive them in simple way. If we said, okay, do this with the glottis, do this with the soft palate, do this, no. So rise the soft palate. If I tell to a student, rise the soft palate, he will never understand what he can understand the theory. He will not be able to do the experience of these skills. If I ask the student, if I'm able to find a common activity that rise the soft palate, and I ask the student to yawn and to watch himself in the mirror, he will see that the soft palate will rise on the top, because everyone knows the feeling when he yawn. So the secret of the method is not to knowing what to do with the structure, but to give a symptom, a common symptom, to do something. This is the value in teaching and in helping people to learn something.
Yeah, amazing. And also I'm right now thinking, because sometimes my students has this, if I try to teach them the Frenzel and I ask them to move the tongue or up and down, they only are able to move it front and back. And it's like I always say, like with this, try this. Sometimes your some kind of muscles are so connected, so to learn this movement, it's a lot of effort on the beginning. And same, do you have any technique how to disconnect some muscles so they can?
We use phonetics. We give the students some advice about what they have to touch, what they have to recognize. We work always on 3 levels. Okay, we call the method the 3C. We work on the knowledge, so to know a little bit about the theory. On the awareness, to become able to feel the structure. You know, the equalization very often is like the balance on the bike. When you start biking, you do some meters and then you put the foot on the floor, and then some other meters and again the foot on the floor, until you are not learning to move on the bike. You are learning the balance. Physically, the physics of biking in one of the most difficult things to explain. If you have to explain the physics of biking, it will be extremely hard to understand how to do it, just trying to study it. You have to feel, to try. That's why our courses are really practical and not only theory, because with the knowledge, there is only the knowledge is not improvement. If we want to improve, we need to change. But we have to change from what we usually do. But the problem is that the freediver does not usually know what they do in the first 15 meters because it's easy and they don't spend the time to understand what they do. Because very often for us to improve mean to have a bigger number on our watch, not to do something better. I think that there are some questions on the chat. So I'm not one of them. I have 2 years experience with bread holding and I would start freediving. I need to leave soon. Okay, sorry. I'm not a freediver. 5 meters. I would start
okay, so there are not many questions on the chat, but that's the question. Freediver, I have experience 5 meters. So my question is, for whom is the workshop you're gonna do at Deepspot? For whom is it? Who's gonna take most of it?
So we have different limits in freediving. If we started to have the first limits around 4, 5, 6 meters, this usually means that the instinctive technique is Valsalva technique, okay? For the ones that naturally equalize with Valsalva, they probably wouldn't be able to enjoy the workshop because first of all, they have to completely change their skills in dry session and then in dry training, and then to use the new skills in the water. For my suggestion is, if the trouble is the limits of the equalization is in the first 5, 6, 8 meters, probably it would be better to work in dry session. For all the ones that can equalize head first, so they do not have trouble to equalize head first, the workshop would be extremely helpful because we will start to understand how do we usually equalize. We will work also on air transition, so on how do we shift naturally, instinctively air in the mouth, because quite often freedivers are not aware about how do they shift air from lungs to the mouth. And so for all the ones, the workshop would be helpful for all the ones that are frenzel and that are able to dive headfirst without big problem, because in this way during those 2 days we are going to start from identikit, so to understand what we do naturally, and we will give exercises and new technique to improve the equalization skills.
Okay, perfect. So if I'm diving headfirst deeper than 5 meters, it's for me.
Yeah.
What about if I don't? What about people who don't?
If you don't, my suggestion is to do some dry training or dry courses. As I told at the beginning of the webinar, we create a platform. And what we usually do for all the ones that are interested, we do an equalization check that is a Zoom call about 30 minutes for free, just to meet the students that are interested in learning frenzel technique, and we will explain how we usually drive the students in dry works in learning frenzel techniques.
Okay, so You can share with us the links to your platforms.
Yes, I write on
the chat.
in the chat.
Okay, so we have a question. I don't have experience with diving, but I'd like to see what is going on. I have Wim Hof method experience and like 4 minutes hold breath. Okay, so I think you can, it's on the chat, the question. Okay, so
I want to start freediving. I have experience with bread all the time, but I think that for the ones that never never free dive,
direct to me. Okay.
Okay, I think that if somebody want to start free diving, the best place to train and to learn would be Deepspot. I can imagine, Piotr, that there are instructor and there are courses for beginner in Deepspot. So this would be the perfect place to help students to help the ones that want to start free diving.
Yes, of course. So response to Adrian, yes, you can come to Deepspot to me or any other, Franek, Emilia, Tomek, Filip, Natalia. The whole team of freedivers are here with the experience to teach you the basics. So we have tried freediving, so just 2 hours with a little bit of theory and the basic up to 6 meters deep dive. And of course, if you are not close to Deepspot or you don't have a chance, just find some instructor at your city, because for the beginning it also will help just shallow pool training, and then maybe visit Deepspot and yeah, just find out some help around.
A nice weekend with the family, all in this spot to do the course as beginner.
It's very often because very close is Santiago. It's huge aqua park, so lots of freedivers comes with the family, leaves the family at the aqua park, and just comes to this spot to have free.
Amazing. Those pools completely change the order of ideas about the depth, and the pools is really enjoyable. And but we can see from the numbers of recreational freediver certification that we had in the last 5 years. They are increasing and increasing.
Yes. Okay, I have a last question, but I think it can be the last one. But is there anyone with questions? If someone is shy to speak English, the question can be in Polish. I just translate. So anyone has any? Okej, jeśli ktoś ma jeszcze jakieś pytania, a chciałby po polsku, to śmiało, ja przetłumaczę. Okay, so looks like everything was clear so far.
Or clear or too bad. So we never know when we do not have questions. There is a message.
Yeah, it will be only one session in January. So it was.
Yeah, it will be 1 week. It will be the first weekend we will do together. Then after the success of this first workshop, probably we are going to organize something else, I hope.
Okay, but let's assume if we're gonna have like lots of people, can you stay 2 days longer and do it?
We have to plan it because my schedule is.
So we have planned for 2 days, 1 weekend, and
it's Saturday, Sunday, and we have to. If we want to do more, we have to find a way.
Okay, so do you know right now how long it's gonna be? How many water sessions?
Every day we will have 2 theory sessions and 2 water sessions. So totally we will have 4 water sessions for a total of 6 hours of water, and all the theory session, Q&A session, and all the work with all Deepspot instructors.
Perfect. So it's gonna be like 10 hours per day? How long?
Yeah, we start
quite intensive.
8 o'clock in the morning. We finish between 6 and 7 or 8. It depends.
Okay.
And on Saturday evening, we can have a dinner all together. This is a very nice moment to spend the time together, to do question, to understand how we could improve, and to have a nice beer. Usually because during the workshop we have the beer list. What the beer list is, every time that someone is late to the appointment or to the briefing or have the phone ringing during the lesson, we put a sign on the beer list, and at the end of Sunday evening, we collect all the beer list and we drink all together for the final party.
Nice. Nice motivation technique. Okay, so
I have a question.
What's up?
Is
Yeah,
there
Zach.
any limit for the participants?
I think how many ropes we can have totally in the deep part? 6 or 5?
In the tube we have 4
Four
ropes.
rope.
Yes.
So it will be between 20 and 24 participants.
Okay, thank you.
20? Nice.
Yes, but
Okay.
so when we have what I usually do, when we have big numbers, every session we divide the groups in 2. We do 45 minutes in the deep part and 45 meters in the shallower one. That is, it's what, 15, the shallower part?
20.
20. When you have to work on technique, 20 meters are more than enough. Okay, so we have for every single water session, we will already know before to go in the water which kind of exercise and the goal of each exercise to do during the session. Okay, I will dive when I will be on the rope with the students. I developed the system always by your side, because to help the students to understand what is doing properly or what is the mistake, I dive with the students all the way long. It's exhausting for me, but is extremely helpful for the students.
Okay, perfect. For me, it sounds awesome. Can't wait. So right now, $1 million questions. How can I get to 100 meters?
Meter by meters, from 81, then to 82, then to 83, then to 84. Now, what I teach when I follow some athletes. These here, I've been working with. In the last 3 years, I've been working with Abdel Alwach. I've been working with Alice Modolo, with Chiara Obino, with Enzo Ferri, with Davide Carrera. And usually when I work with some athletes, the first question that I do to the athletes is, which is your goal? As soon the athletes tell me a number, usually I say that I'm the wrong teacher. Because the depth is always a consequence, is never a goal. Because the perfect dive is built up second by second. And when you are free falling, if you start to think about the depth, you move your attention to the bottom, and is in this moment you will lose something in the feeling, and you will do some mistake. The perfect dive is when you focus yourself only on the equalization. I remember my 100-meter dives. I was feeling only my ears. It was like a big ears that was free falling in the water, and I woke up on the bottom. I felt the lanyard on the bottom. I turned. I still had hair in my mouth, and I turned and I came back. So in my theory and with my method, the depth is never a goal, is always a consequence.
You just described my 81-meter dive. That's how it was. And later I tried 86 and I forgot about this rule, and it ended up at 70. So I swallowed the mouthfeel. I totally agree.
Thanks
okay,
a lot.
I think I'm totally satisfied with this webinar, and I can wait to see you here and meet you in person and try this. And thank you all for participating. Over 20 participants, and yeah, all the news about these workshops will be published on Deepspot's Facebook page, our Instagram.
I'm going to send you a link to download it, and you can publish on your website. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks again, Piotr. Thanks, Emilia. Happy to share with all of you my experience, and hope to see you soon in January in Deepspot with our common workshop. See you soon.
That's right. Thanks. See ya.
Bye bye. Have a nice evening. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Thank you.